to be loading 4570, which is one of my favorite cartridges, and I'm going to be using the 325 grain flex tip from Hornady. Benefit of that bullet is that it has a flexible tip, but it's pointed, which allows for greater downrange energy and less bullet drop. Traditionally, you would use a flat point such as this one in a lever gun like this. The reason for that is that these bullets, when they are loaded in this gun, in this tubular magazine, they're stacked end to end. And if you were to have pointed bullets stacked end to end, you'd have that point against that primer, and under recoil, you would have the risk of igniting that in the magazine, which is not a good thing, obviously. So having the flexible tip on this pointed bullet safely eliminates the threat of having ignition in this tubular magazine. I forgot to mention earlier that this is an expanding bullet. As you can see on the far right there, that was fired into a 55-gallon drum of water at about 1850 feet per second. And on the far left there, I put out a traditional flat tip bullet for comparison. So here we are to our first step, which is going to be to clean these cases in the case vibrator. Okay, it's been a few hours and these are ready. I had to switch to a coarser media, ground walnut, to get the stains off of these brass. They were pretty stained up. So we'll shut this off, dump them in here and separate them. Look a lot better. Nice and clean. Alright, we're to our next step, which is lubricating the cases, and I have a lubrication pad here, which is foam, and the lubrication that I'll put on there, and it absorbs it. Spread it around a little bit there. Throw about 5 or 6 cases out here and just roll them on that, and that gives them a good even coat so that they will slide up into the sizing die and not jam. Now it's time to size the cases. Guide them up into the die. That sizes and knocks the old primer out. Alright, we've got our cases all sized up, and the next thing we're going to do is trim them. Now, a normal length case for 4570 is 2.10 inches. With this particular bullet, it does need a shorter than normal case, and it will be trimmed to 2.040, which is 60 thousandths of an inch shorter than normal. So let's go ahead and get started doing that. Now that all the cases are trimmed to length, we need to clean the case mouth off. We'll do that here at this station. Also cleaning out the primer pocket here. Now that the cases are all trimmed to length and the mouths all cleaned off, they still have lubrication on them, and what we're going to do in order to clean that off is just pick them up and throw them back in the tumbler. I've got the cases back in the vibrator now, and this will clean the lubrication off of them. It's a lot easier than doing it by hand. Okay, now that our cases are all cleaned off, lubrication's all gone, and they are pretty much spotless, it's time to prime, and we're going to use Winchester Large Rifle standard primers. So we'll get 20 of them out here and dump them on the plate. Shake them around a little bit. This plate has little ridges in it, and it catches the edge and flips them over onto their back. And you can flip them over. Makes them easier to pick up. Get them into the primer tube. And after you get them into the tube, you can load them into the top of the press here. Now with the primers in the press, we're ready to start priming. Now it's time to get the powder measure dialed in to 50 grains. We're using Accurate Arm 1680. So we'll throw a charge and weigh it. We're just a little short still, so we need to adjust it to add a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, now that we've got our powder measure all set up to throw 50 grains of Accurate Arm 1680, our next step is kind of 3 steps folded into one. So we'll charge a case, and then we're going to bell the case mouth back here at this die, and then we're going to set this die, which is the bullet seating and crimping die. We need to back it up a little bit and run the case up in there, and then run it back down until you just feel it touch. And then you back it off a little bit, and that ensures that we're not crimping the cases yet, because we just want to seat the bullet and we'll crimp later. Let's back this up a little bit. That's our seating plunger, and we'll throw a bullet on the case and run it up. We're shooting for an overall length of 2.6 inches. Now we've got 2.638, so we need to set it down some more. 2.613, 2.607, getting close, just a little bit more. Still just a little bit more. There it is. Next thing up is crimping. First thing we've got to do is set the die, so we need to first back it off just a little bit, back the seating plunger all the way out. Run it up in there and then turn the die down until you feel it touch. And lower the bullet out and turn the die down about 1/8 of a turn and then lock the lock ring. And that will give us a good crimp. That crimps the case to the bullet. It squeezes the mouth up here into the bullet is what that's doing. Now we can go ahead and finish crimping the rest of these and we'll be done. There's one last thing we want to do before we go find some ground squirrels to kill with these. We need to make sure that our crimp is sufficient. So what we're going to do is take our measurement, should be 2.60. We're going to take it and just give it a good whack on the table there. Make sure it hasn't set back any, and it hasn't, so we're good to go. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll be doing some more in the future, so tune in. Thanks.